Hollywood's latest stroke of genius, yet another remake. But hold on to your stakes, folks, because this time, it's the spooky classic Salem's Lot getting a modern makeover. Because we definitely needed that. So what's the scoop on this blood-sucking redux? Who's sinking their teeth into the leading roles? Let's dive into the cryptic depths of everything we know about the Salem's Lot remake, shall we? Will the new Salem's Lot adaptation live up to Stephen King's terrifying novel and the nightmares of the iconic 1979 miniseries? Few authors can evoke dread and horror like Stephen King, and no King novel terrified readers more than 1975's Salem's Lot. The story of a sleepy Maine town invaded by vampires struck a chord thanks to King's skill at creating an atmosphere of creeping doom. In 1979, director Tobe Hooper adapted the book into a miniseries that itself became the stuff of nightmares. Scenes like vampire child Danny Glick floating outside a window and the sudden appearance of ancient vampire Kurt Barlow traumatized a generation. Now, a new version of Salem's Lot is slated for release in 2023. Can it hope to match King's bone-chilling source material? Will it evoke the same primal terror as Hooper's adaptation? Or will it be just another mediocre horror remake unable to capture lightning in a bottle twice? Salem's Lot taps into readers' most primal fears, the invasion of a monster that looks human infiltrating your safe community to prey on friends and family. King's vampires are not the elegant gothic anti-heroes of Anne Rice. They're bestial killers devoid of humanity, and the creep of evil through a familiar small town makes the horror more visceral. We experience the dread of characters we know and care about as the paranoia spreads. Killer kids like Danny Glick violate innocence and twist the protective instinct that makes vampires so terrifying. The 1979 miniseries converted King scares masterfully, indelibly scaring young minds. Key frightening scenes linger in cultural memory even if details fade. So the new adaptation faces high hurdles to elicit such enduring traumatic reactions today. What elements make Salem's Lot so fundamentally scary from King's novel to the iconic 1979 adaptation? Several factors combine to make Salem's Lot terrifying and difficult to adapt effectively. The insidious invasion of vampires into a familiar everyday town. The evil literally moves in next door, disguising itself as trusted faces, twisting innocence and family bonds through killer child vampires who invoke sympathy. Danny Glick is a gut punch, creeping escalation of evil, friends turning on friends. The paranoia when anyone could be infected, melding supernatural horror with the emotional resonance of characters we know in a familiar community. It feels real. These elements work together to terrify both the characters and audience on a deeply unsettling primal level. The 1979 adaptation captured them perfectly to scar generations. The 2023 version needs to reach the same emotional depth. What sets apart Stephen King's brand of horror compared to other popular horror writers? Relatable characters. King spends time making the protagonists real people we care about. So when the horror descends, we empathize. Small town settings. The horror infiltrating a familiar, mundane place makes it more visceral. Escalating tension. King masterfully builds dread through creeping escalations of unexplained events. Twisting innocence. Child monsters like Danny Glick maximize horror by corrupting purity. What performances from the 1979 adaptation still haunt and set the bar high for the new version? James Mason's refined menace as the ancient Kurt Barlow with a sudden monstrous reveal. Reggie Nalder's ghoulish Nosferatu-like take on Barlow matching Mason's vocals. Lance Kerwin and Bonnie Bedelia as Mark and Susan captured that teenage chemistry amidst chaos. Julie Cobb and James Gallery as the Glick parents whose denial paved the way for horror. The sadism of George Zunza as the turncoat teacher Jason Berg spelled doom. Jeffrey Lewis oozed swarmy malicious intent as Mike Ryerson. Child actor Ronnie Scribner made Danny Glick's window scene immortal. Is modern CGI a blessing or a curse for the new Salem's Lot compared to the handcrafted visuals and prosthetics that make the 1979 version so viscerally real? Today's CGI allows visions beyond the wildest dreams of practical effects artists in 1979. With computer graphics, no monster is off limit, no spectacle unfilmable. But the 1979 Salem's Lot's handcrafted tricks like Danny Glick's makeup and flying rig, Kurt Barlow's mask and puppetry, and the extensive live-action gore had a tactile, organic sense of realism. The limits forced Hooper to suggest more than he showed, empowering the viewer's imagination. Can CGI match that immersive authenticity? Modern CGI is a double-edged sword when adapting vintage horror material. Yes, it removes limits on what can be visualized. The monstrous and supernatural become easy to depict, but the flip side is the loss of humanity and emotional resonance from practical effects. With a real-life prop puppet, actor interaction enhances the characterization. In-camera tricks require planning and performance to pull off successfully. There's something missing when a director can simply tell the effects house to build it. Why do practical effects often feel more real and emotionally impactful compared to CGI for classic horror adaptations? Tangible on-set presence that actors can interact with and respond to, heightening performances. Craftsmanship and sculpture, makeup, animatronics instead of computer simulation. The authenticity of documented real prompts and makeup captured in camera. Imperfections and subtle flaws that subconsciously read as natural to our eyes. Restraints that force relying on mood, suspense, and performances over effects shots. A sense of the uncanny from real objects moved in unnatural ways. Higher stakes when shots require rigorous planning, as effects can't simply be tweaked or added later. How did Toby Cooper maximize suspense with old-school techniques for iconic scenes in the 1979 Salem's Lot? Hooper used clever low-budget solutions to create lingering, memorable scares. A life-size Danny Glick model for the window was carefully maneuvered on wires and lit for the right profile. Close-ups of a vampire mask and yellow contacts sold Kurt Barlow's inhuman scare. Quick cuts maintained the mystique. Rotting prop corpses conveyed the morgue's violation along with chilling time-lapse photography. Spotlights sweeping across the fog-shrouded graveyard amplified the foreboding mood. Simple but artful. Danny Glick's vampire makeup was blended and shadowed to look uncanny but not over the top. Deeply unsettling. The floating Glick brother mannequin outside Mark's parents' room maximized the creep factor efficiently. And there you have it, fellow thrill seekers. Another remake bites the dust. Or does it? Don't forget to subscribe and smash that bell icon to stay up to date with all the latest from the crypt of Hollywood. Until next time, may your nights be filled with fright and your dreams be haunted by the echoes of Salem's Lot.